All right, let's go on to our final marquee game between Colorado and Nebraska. Nebraska, 7.5 point favorite at home, looking for revenge from last year. The good news is they will have a quarterback who won't just completely vomit the game away. Dominic Raiola looked very good. I was pretty impressed in his debut, although again, it was against UTEP. Regardless, the quarterback position will be significantly upgraded to what Nebraska rolled out there last year in Boulder. Running backs look pretty good. This is an improved Nebraska offense. The defensive front is very good. So I think this Nebraska team's better. You expected that with Matt Rule in another season of development. Colorado, meanwhile, looks like the same team. They are struggles on defense. They just couldn't cover basic concepts and adjust to what North Dakota State was doing. And there's no run game still. The offensive line still had issues, but they just have an electric passing attack that's going to get points. When you have Shedeur Sanders at quarterback, and you have Travis Hunter, and you add Wester, Horn, who was their leading receiver. I mean, it's an amazing wide receiver room with a very talented quarterback. They're going to hit their fair share of explosive plays. This probably comes down to like how often Nebraska wins the battle up front and how often they can get to Sanders on third downs and get sacks on him, or is Sanders able to elude them, get enough protection, and hit the explosives downfield. I don't have much on this game. I'll be rooting for Nebraska to win, for Colorado win total under. And if you look back, since Deion has been at Colorado, 13 games, underdogs have gone 10-3 in their games. They're not a great favorite because their D stinks. They can't run it. And they're a pretty good underdog because they can put up points. And on top of that, if you look back last year at some of their scores and some of the times they did cover as underdog, they didn't deserve to cover, but they came back late. They would just add on touchdowns late because they had that explosive passing offense. And we saw last week, Deion's not going to stop. It doesn't matter if he has an opportunity to take knees, he's still going to throw it. So back door could be wide open here too for Colorado, especially if you can get over 7. So nothing strong here for me. I think you like Colorado. You're going with the dog trend in Colorado games.
I do. It's one of those things where it's like I want to put money down on it, and I'm like, do you really want to do this with Colorado? There's like an emotional, social acceptance of betting Colorado for me. No, I'm on Colorado plus 7.5. I think the handicap, it seems like the handicap of Colorado, we've just been so spot on with it since Deion took over. You're right. The question is, can you flush Shedeur out of the pocket? And can your secondary maintain those cover assignments on Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, and LeJontay Wester? Well, let's go look at UTEP, who is actually Austin Peay dressed up in UTEP clothes. UTEP produced 2 explosive passes on 27 attempts. Austin Peay transfer Skylar Locklear finished the game from UTEP. He saw 4 pressures and 18 dropbacks, and he recorded a big-time throw and 2 turnover-worthy plays with an ADOT of 10.5. So a little bit of success from an Austin Peay offense playing in UTEP clothes and creating big-time throws and having explosive passes and avoiding some pressure here. Now, Nebraska did get an interception at the end of the first half. It was at garbage time. It was already 40-7. They had one early at the end of the second quarter. But the real story here for me is that there were 0 pass breakups against UTEP. How is that possible? How is your secondary not recording a single PBU against what is an FCS transfer team? The secondary projects to be in the bottom half of the Big Ten when you talk about Nebraska. 3 new starters, only strong safety Malcolm Hartzog is the one with experience there. That is definitely a place to attack Nebraska, and that is definitely where Colorado is going to go. I think they can flush Shedeur out of the pocket. I don't think the secondary can maintain their assignments. And when Travis Hunter and LeJontay, when they all want to come back to the ball and come back to Shedeur, it's going to create big plays. You go to the other side of the ball, Colorado's defense got better on the defensive line. They created 7 tackles for loss against North Dakota State. They also created 14 pressures. That is something that we didn't see out of the Colorado defensive line last year. The fact that they can create pressures is a really bad note for Nebraska and their offensive line, because Dylan Raiola saw 7 pressures from the UTEP defensive line last week. I just can't. What's going on with this Nebraska offensive line? They had severe issues in turning methodical drives into points. They had a ton of long drives. They averaged what, 3.4 points every time they crossed the 40-yard line? That's not even national average, not close. I think the one thing that interests me, Stuck, I don't think it's applicable here this week, but something to keep an eye on. Nebraska had 40 minutes of possession. They had 100 plays. They averaged 23.12 seconds per play. That's extremely fast. That's like a top 30 pace. So I'm going to keep an eye on Nebraska and how fast they're snapping the ball, but I'm not going to touch the total. Anyways, with Nebraska, it's a lumbering, heavy offense, one explosive drive, 2 passes completed over 20 yards, just one run over 20 yards. It's not an offense that I think that can take over a game, pound them into submission like a service academy, like we talked about Michigan. This is a Nebraska offense that could get down the field, but they just couldn't convert it into points. You go to the flip side, Shador is going to be able to hit a bunch of targets where Nebraska will lose their coverage assignments. So I like Colorado here plus 7.5. I think they got a shot to win, but definitely just taking the points at this point.